information that we need. You're also going to notice we're not going to have we don't have a handout, which we usually do, or an overhead. I know, Miss B and Abe, I know. We don't have anything to fill out. And I love to do that. But guys, I'm telling you right now, 27 years of preaching, I know myself. If I have an outline to fill out, if I have an overhead, it will not be 15 to 20 minutes. So just bear with me. And I hope to just make a very simple lesson this morning. Why do we give gifts to people? Usually it's pretty simple reasons, right? Well, it's their birthday. It's an anniversary or something like that. Those are kind of obvious ones in our family. But sometimes those are given out of obligation. You know, it's kind of like, I doubt my sister's watching this, but both of my sisters, but it's kind of like for Christmas. They send us a gift card, we send them a gift card, and we could have just said, Merry Christmas, and kept our money because we sent about the same amount of money, right? But we kind of felt obligated. And that's okay, you know, that's a sweet way of saying, you know, you matter to me. Sometimes we give gifts that say, I respect what you've done. You got an anniversary at work, or they've accomplished something really big, and they've done something for 20 years, or 30 years, or 40 years, or a retirement, or something like that. Or maybe if you happen to be married, and it's an anniversary gift. And it's one of those gifts that just says, not only I love you, but it just says, I don't know what my life would be like without you. We give all kinds of gifts to the people that we love. And hopefully, the kind of gifts that we love the most are often the gifts that have very little to do with money. What age were you, and maybe you're not, but I'm going to assume if you're an adult, at what age did Christmas not become a big deal to you anymore? You know, it was like, I enjoy getting gifts, but then at some point you went, I just want the family here. Just want everybody to be well. Let's have a meal together. Maybe let's go out and see a movie. And at some point, hopefully, the gift was not any money that was really spent on each other like a normal gift, but it was just time spent. Gifts are so important, and they show so much. They show our heart oftentimes. Sometimes guys are really bad about that, aren't they? You know, have you heard that joke that says, you know, I told you I loved you when we got married, and if things change, I'll let you know. Well, guys, we need to do better. And we need to be more frequently tell how much we appreciate our wives and our children and our grandchildren. In Mark chapter 14 is the account of Mary, and Mary anointing Jesus' feet. Now this is not Mary Magdalene, this is Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And so we remember them, they were really close to Jesus. So much so, when Lazarus died, do you remember what it said about Jesus? What did he do? He wept. It's the only place that we know of that says that definitively. So we don't know if they grew up together or if they forged a great friendship. What we also know is not only were they good friends, but they were followers of Jesus. They believed that Jesus was the Messiah. So that not only were they friends, but they were disciples as well. And they forged a wonderful relationship. What I want to do is I just want to read through this account, make a couple of notes, and then the application will hopefully be a good segue into our elders talking about what we want to look at 2026 with. Okay? Let's read with me Mark chapter 14, starting in verse 1. After 2 days, it was the Passover and the feast of unleavened bread, and the chief priests and scribes sought how that they might take him by trickery and put him to death. But they said, not during the feast, lest there be an uproar of the people. And being in Bethany, at the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at the table, a woman came having an alabaster flask of very costly oil of spikenard. Then she broke the flask and poured it on his head. And there were some who were indignant among themselves. And they said, why was this fragrant oil wasted? For it might have been sold for more than 300 denarii and given to the poor. And they criticized her sharply. And Jesus said, leave her alone. Why do you trouble her? She has done a good work for me. For you have the poor with you always. And whenever you wish to, you may do good to them. But me you do not always have. She has done what she could. She has come beforehand to anoint my body for burial. And assuredly I say to you, wherever the gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as memorial for her. We're not told it's Mary here in John's account. If you want to see the parallel account, it's John chapter 12. Now let's talk about this for a little bit. This was, as we said, Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. This is that Mary. Now we remember Mary from a couple of different events. We remember in John chapter 11, which this is going to be a big deal. John chapter 11, when Lazarus gets sick and Jesus finally makes his way to Bethany, what is one of the first things that is said to Jesus by both Mary and Martha? Lord, had you been here, he would not have died. Do you remember that? They believed in him so much. And this is that discussion of I am the resurrection and the life. This is also that Mary and Martha, there is this discussion as Jesus comes at a previous time to Bethany, that Martha is just serving. She's serving. She's putting out all the plates. And Mary is just relaxing, listening to Jesus, what he has to say. Martha was really upset. She's like, listen, I want to honor you by having everything to be perfect, and my sister should be helping me. And Jesus said to Martha, Martha, you're worried about a lot of things, but Mary has actually chosen the better thing. Why? Look, you've got time to arrange the house and make it look pretty and everything, but you don't have very much time with me. This is that Mary. And so the context, which is not clear in Mark, but it is in John. The previous chapter, what has happened in John chapter 11? Lazarus has gotten sick, has not only died, but they've been grieving for 4 days. He's been dead for 4 days. And Jesus comes, and both, as we said earlier, Martha and Mary come and said, if you would have been here, he wouldn't have died. And Jesus goes and raises Lazarus from the dead. Her brother raises his from the dead. And then John chapter 12 opens up with this scene. So you can see the backdrop was probably twofold. Number one, I am so thankful of what you have done for my brother. I'm so thankful that you raised him from the dead. But when we got the picture from Mary earlier about listening to Jesus, it seems like it was something in addition. Not only was it, I'm thankful that you raised my brother, but I now realize this was another intense proof of who you are, and I want to honor you for being God in the flesh. And so what does she do? She goes out and she buys this bottle of perfume. Guys, there's a lot of things to know about this. Number one, this bottle was made of alabaster. Alabaster is a particular rock found in Egypt. And the rock is very soft, so they can mold it very easily. And sometimes it was so gentle that it was translucent, like you could see right through the bottle. So it made beautiful perfume bottles. But it had to come all the way from Egypt. So it had come from Egypt to Israel. And then not only was it this beautiful stone that this perfume was in, but it was of pure spikenard. You know where spikenard or nard came from? The Himalayas. Wow. So way up in the mountains of the Himalayas, they picked these flowers and they made this oil, and that made it all the way to Israel. She goes inside and she buys this perfume. That the commentary that is said here is that those that were giving Mary a hard time were saying this could have been sold for 300 denarii. You know what a denarii is, right? About a day's wage. What's the average? You know what the average income in the United States is now? About $52,000. Can you imagine spending $50,000 on perfume? I barely can imagine spending that on a house. I'm definitely not spending that on a car. Right. You drive that car off the lot, it's now worth $40,000, isn't it? It's depreciating. This perfume was just going to get used. They're going to dab a little, put a little right here, maybe a little bit on their wrist, and it was just going to get used up. $50,000. And she goes and she buys it. She brings it in. And she honors Jesus. And she breaks that flask, that alabaster flask, and pours it on his head. And what Jesus said about her has come true. That every single place that the gospel is preached, her story is also preached, isn't it? Because it was recorded here in the scriptures, and for all time, people will remember what Mary did. Can you imagine giving a gift that large to somebody? I can't hardly. I don't mean, hey, I bought you a house. That's a wonderful gift. That's paid off over 30 years or whatever. I mean, I went to the store and I bought you a $50,000 gift. I don't know if they were wealthy or not. I get the impression that they were more well-to-do than most. If they were not well-to-do, that makes this story even more amazing, doesn't it? That she would spend $50,000, 300 denarii, for Jesus. So here's what I'd like for you to do. Close your Bibles. Because if we don't close them now, and I want to make some application. Over the last couple of months, the elders and I have been talking about some things we want to accomplish. We look at the congregation, we look at our community, and we look at our obligation and our wonderful privilege to serve God. And we say, Lord, how can we be busy and do what you want us to do, right? So we've been talking about that for several months. Oftentimes, we don't know what we can do. Or worse, sometimes we just get complacent. And we think, I can't do this or I can't do that. And frankly, I don't know that God cares about what we can't do. All he wants from us is what we can do, right? I think I've told you the story of Millie Bora. Millie was in a wheelchair on oxygen in her 70s. And she called one time and she said, Jason, I want to talk. I said, okay. She lived right next door at the church building. And so she came and we talked and she said, look at me. I think she was blind too, wasn't she? Blind, in a wheelchair, on oxygen, in her 70s. She just had a lot of health issues. She was just like, what can I do? And I think what she was trying to say is, I feel helpless. And I said, well, what do you do all day? She's like, well, I sit in my room and I watch TV and I call my friends and so forth like that. I said, can you call brethren? She goes, yeah, we'll do what you can do. So here's my encouragement as we end. God doesn't care if you give a $50,000 gift or not. If you have it, wonderful. If you feel burdened in your heart to give it, give it. If you don't, then don't. The money is not the issue. Don't you think the issue was her heart? That she wanted to show her gratitude for God so much that she was willing to spend this money as a wonderful gift for him. Let me ask you, how appreciative do you feel for what God has done for you through Jesus Christ? Where would you be without Jesus? Well, I know I'd probably be in a heap of trouble with a bunch of dumb decisions and not doing near as well as I am now, for me personally. So here's what I'm going to ask you. 2026 for this congregation, as you're fixing to see, is about to be very busy. I'm excited about it, aren't you guys? I'm so excited about it. I'm excited to see where we go from here. I'm excited to see all of y'all coming with us. So here's what I'm going to ask you. Please be like Mary. I want you to be so thankful for what God has done for you through Jesus that you're willing to ask our elders frequently, what can I be doing? Where can I plug in? How can I help this church? I want you to ask them that frequently. What are your talents? Your talents are going to be different from mine and mine from yours. I don't know what your talents are, but I do know you have talents. You have abilities that God has given you. And so I want you to be so thankful for what God has done for you. Given you the life that you've had, given you the opportunities that you've had, given you the blessings that you have. I want you to say, Lord, where can I put what you have given me to use every single day? Be like Mary. Honor God with what he's given you. And have your heart to be so full of thankfulness that you're willing to give him whatever you've got. Maybe you've got money. Give some of that. Maybe you've got time. We're definitely going to need some of that this year. We got a lot planned. Maybe we need for you to be the compassionate one. We definitely need that. Some of you are organized people. We need that. Some of you have connections in this city. We need that, don't we? Guys, we need all of us to work together. But if we don't, we're not going to accomplish half as much. That's what I want you to think about. And hopefully this will work well together with the lesson. We're going to sing the invitation song that has been selected. If anybody has